There was an attacker that took over Tornado Cash DAO with vote fraud. The token apparently dumped 40%, but the attacker offered to undo the attack, which is all very interesting considering what's happened with Tornado Cash. So the latest update, the attacker submitted a proposal that would undo the changes to the DAO. If the proposal passes, the malicious code that the attacker integrated into the protocol will be removed, and the governance of Tornado Cash's DAO will go back to token holders. Voting closes May 26th, and apparently Torn was up 10% on this news. It was really bizarre that this happened on a Sunday, but I feel like a lot of the crypto news is starting to come out on Sundays from what we've seen this last year. Will, you're a little bit more technical than I am. Do you want to talk about this a bit? I mean, it kind of seems like I should put my tinfoil crown on. I don't know, though.
Anything with Tornado Cash, you definitely should. This is an interesting problem for Tornado Cash, sort of going back 2 or 3 years to their Torn token, which they launched to kind of be like all the other products out there, to have a DAO, to be a DeFi protocol that has some sort of governance scheme. It was a very hot topic. Also give some liquidity for early people who invested in Tornado Cash protocol and wanted to get some money for what they built. Unfortunately, for a product like Tornado Cash, a token really didn't make sense because of the privacy implications. And now we're seeing even further issues where it seems the governance wasn't set up correctly. There were some bugs involved with it, and someone was able to exploit the underlying code to mint themselves a bunch of new tokens and then take over the entire governance scheme. They essentially minted themselves so many tokens that the only vote that mattered was their votes. Now we're seeing something that I don't think many people thought would occur, and that is that the person now in control of governance might undo everything they did and just sort of show that this was a white hack or maybe a gray hat hack. The Torn token has been down on the news, but it has been back up since by about 10% since the news about the possible reconfiguration and governance has been going through. The one thing that I thought might occur here is that this attacker might burn Tornado Cash tokens, might burn all of it and sort of like push through an upgrade to get rid of the Torn token and return Tornado Cash back to its original model, which was just a decentralized app on Ethereum that could not be upgraded. The Torn token allows you to upgrade it, and I was hoping that might be an outcome here, but we got sort of a weirder outcome where we might go back to the way things were, just with a notice that, hey, the underlying contracts can be actioned against. Zach, up to you.
Yeah, some people in the forums are calling this a possible quote-unquote giga troll, which I love that as a word. We really don't know what is animating these decisions from this person or persons who are doing this attack, right? And now you have a community that's very, I guess, passionate about privacy, having to figure out if they're going to trust what this person is saying. So yeah, Tornado Cash, I think this token really has come back to bite them, right? It featured prominently in the case against the Tornado Cash developer as sort of evidence of this being maybe a little bit less pure than some of the privacy advocates behind this protocol have long promulgated. So the fact that this is happening to this project against the backdrop of all these OFAC sanctions and one of the developers being in trouble with the law is a bit fascinating, and it's not a great look, I think, for A, DAO governance, and B, Tornado Cash itself. So the fact that this is going on and markets are moving based on some of these proclamations is a bit silly. But in the background, against all that's going on in this debate over privacy on a blockchain, certainly one to note. But I'll toss it to Jen.
Yeah, I agree with everything all of you have said already. I think for me, the story just highlights how many issues there are with DAO governance. And so often we say, the one thing that DAOs have figured out is treasury management. But the one thing that we keep talking about is DAO treasuries that continuously get drained by different hacks and attacks. And I know this one is a little bit different than like a smart contract exploit or some of the ones we've spoken about in the past, but it just shows how many ways there are for attackers to get at the funds that are really at the heart and lifeblood of a DAO. And I guess it just shows how many things we have to work on. I think about all the people who are trying to build DAOs, who are trying to move away from the traditional business structure, and I see all of these barriers and challenges in their way. And so I just, power to the people who stick it out and who are building through this and trying to look for solutions. Wendy?
So one of the things that I do want to say is, if we take a look at traditional voting, we've always had problems with that, whether it's a paper ballot, whether it's like putting in, tickets in a little hat and picking something out. There's always been problems with voting, no matter what. So I feel like DAOs are very interesting, but at the same time, a lot of these DAOs, all of these DAOs are still in beta. And I feel like in crypto, we get so excited and we don't take a step back and think about how the world actually works and give developers a little bit of a break. These men and women are working very, very hard to create really great solutions to real world problems. And again, you guys, we're still in beta with all of these things. So unfortunately, we're going to go through the growing pains of seeing exploits and terrible things happen. It's not a fun thing. I'm not encouraging it, but it's also kind of being part of like an entrepreneur and understanding that stuff does happen and nobody's perfect and we're not quite there yet. Let's face it, even though Bitcoin is, one of the older crypto assets, we're still technically in beta with that too, because we don't know how Bitcoin's going to respond with the inflation and recession and all those things happening. Just my 2 sats.